I'm Mark Kelly of the STS-124 crew, and you're watching NASA TV.
Good morning, Discovery, and a special good morning today for Mark with Crystal Frontier.
Good morning. It's another good morning in space. I'd like to thank my wife, my wonderful wife, Gabrielle, and my kids, Claudia and Claire. Good morning.
A good view here of the elbow, or rather the end effector of the shuttle robotic arm grappled onto the orbiter boom sensor system high over the payload bay, and a glimpse of the vertical tail fin at the bottom of your screen as Discovery moves out just past North Korea, heading for a flyover of the Japanese island chain a short time from now. The orbiter boom sensor system was left on the starboard truss of the International Space Station back in March and was retrieved by Mike Fossum and Ron Garan during their first spacewalk last week. It was handed back to the shuttle robotic arm, where it now resides, and was used yesterday for that laser and camera-based inspection of the thermal protection heat shield, the reinforced carbon-carbon on the leading edges of Discovery's wings and its nose cap. This silhouette view of the orbital maneuvering system pods and the vertical tail fin at the rear of the shuttle Discovery as it flies 214 miles above the Earth. Discovery's cameras capturing a breathtaking view of the west coast of Africa as it crosses over Senegal, about to pass 214 miles over Mauritania, Mali, Algeria. Will come into the field of view momentarily. All quiet on board Discovery, the crew enjoying an off-duty day today, and these sights, no doubt, with their eyes also set on landing at the Kennedy Space Center on Saturday to wrap up their 2-week mission.
Discovery, this is ESPN. How do you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear. How do you hear us?
you very clearly. Thank you very much. We're ready to start if you are.
Hey, we're ready for questions.
Mike and Mike, pleased to take you now, boldly take you where we have certainly never gone before, to outer space, where our friend Ken Ham is standing by with the entire crew from the Space Shuttle Discovery, live with us right here on Mike and Mike in the Morning. Ken, can you hear us?
I agree. You are loud and clear. How are we doing?
We are doing great. You sound terrific. Let's start with this. Just how far away from us right now are you?
Boy, that's a good question. Let me check the map since we got our... Oh, we're... well, it depends. Are you guys in Bristol today?
Yes, we are.
Okay, we're just going out over the North Atlantic, so I'm guessing maybe 600 miles away from you. That's pretty close.
Pretty close in some instances, but not so much here. All right, Ken, I got to ask you, what are you doing up there?
That's a good question, Golik. We've been doing a lot of good work up here, taking care of Space Station and making it bigger, and also rotating crew members. We brought one crew member up, brought another one back. He's right here behind me, Garrett. You can see him in the picture there. But I'll tell you, maybe what you're maybe a little more interested in is what we've been doing in our off time while we're on Space Station. And we've been trying to invent new sports, which has been quite an interesting endeavor. And I think the possibilities are limitless.
So give us an example. What sorts of new sports have you tried to invent?
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Well, there's one difficulty we have, and that's that we're surrounded by a lot of expensive equipment in all directions. So it's sort of hazardous to our paycheck to really experiment to the fullest. However, we were tossing around a foam football the other day and learned a few things. One of them is whenever we throw a football on Earth, you adjust and compensate for gravity. So when you're in orbit in zero gravity and try to throw a football, everything goes high, and you have to relearn how to throw just about anything.
Ken, what sports are you missing the most while you're up there that you're missing down here?
Without a doubt, that'll be baseball. And we're fortunate to have a lot of people down in Mission Control sending us news about how my Astros are doing, and of course Garrett's Yankees. And my wife, Michelle, who is an avid Cubs fan, Greenie, you'll love that. I'm getting all the reports on how they're doing, and it looks like this might be the year, right? However, trying to play baseball in Space Station is a really hazardous duty. So we figured out that we can frame a picture in stop-action photo with the ball hanging in the air and get the perfect swing with the perfect contact, but we really don't want to actually make contact.
All right, I like the sound of this. Now, Garrett, we are told, is a huge Yankee fan and actually threw out the first pitch at a game between the Yankees and the Red Sox. If he can get on the mic for a second, Garrett, what do you think of this whole idea of turning Jabba Chamberlain into a starter?
Well, you know, I don't want to get too much into trouble with the new boss, so I'd say, you know, he was outstanding as a late innings reliever, and of course he has a lot of potential as a starter. I think no matter when he pitches, it's great to have his presence on the mound, and we'll just have to see how the Jabba experiment goes, but it's going to be fun to watch.
Let me ask you a question, Garrett. If you threw out the first pitch in space at the same distance that you threw it on the baseball field, how long would it take the ball to reach home plate?
You know, I was told there would be no math during this interview. It would be a split second. We're moving at 17,500 miles an hour. So if that ball is going that fast, first of all, I wouldn't want to be the catcher.
We are in space right now on Mike and Mike in the Morning on ESPN Radio with, among others, Ken Ham, who's a new friend of ours here and is a proud graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy. Ken, we have to get into this. Could you please tell us your emotions as you watched your beloved Navy finally beat Notre Dame last year?
I'm sure that Golick wasn't going to ask that question. Yeah, that was an absolutely tremendous day. Watching that game, the phone in my house was ringing like crazy, and I was calling all my friends towards the end of that game, which was, if you watched it, I'm sure you did, it was an incredible game. So, yeah, it was a wonderful point in Naval Academy history, and we'll see if we can do it again next year.
Now, you're going to have to wait another 43 years, and I don't want to talk about that subject anymore. Let's talk about something near and dear to my heart, Ken, and that's the food up there. Now, I tasted some of the food you're eating down here, and I thought it was pretty good. So what's the fare up there? What's some of your favorite stuff you're eating?
Well, I'm holding right here some of that cocktail shrimp that you tried the other day on your show. But this is before you add water, and it doesn't look quite as good. But as you know, when you add water, it tastes pretty darn good. You had the Fiesta chicken. That's one of our favorites up here. We end up fighting about it every day because there's not enough. And here's if you can see that there, we got a can of some of our Russian cosmonauts food. And this is, yeah, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but it's enticingly called meat in jelly.
Well, that segues perfectly into my next question, which is, how do you go to the bathroom up there? I mean, this is a primary question in my life, no matter where I am. I mean, at a ball game, my first question is, where am I going to go to the bathroom? So now I'm hundreds of miles into outer space. That is a primary concern. What exactly, and bearing in mind that we are a family show, what exactly is the bathroom situation like up there?
Well, the way you phrased it, how do you go to the bathroom? The answer is very carefully. You take your time, you go slowly, and you clean up your mess, because there's only one little toilet area, if you will, and we all have to use it. So it's kind of a messy endeavor. However, we clean up after ourselves, and we take some time, and well, everything in space takes a little bit of time, so that's one of them.
I apologize for my partner asking such a gross question to you. Let me ask you this, Ken. I know you took some stuff up into space with you. What are some of the pieces of memorabilia you brought up there?
Yeah, we're allowed to bring a couple of personal items with us, and one of the items that I brought personally was the jersey that Craig Biggio wore in his last baseball game. He was nice enough to pass that on and allow us to make the trip with it, and we're going to bring it back and present it back to him sometime later this summer.
In all seriousness, all of America is watching with great interest what you guys are doing. Can you explain in sort of layman's terms exactly what the mission was and how you guys feel it has gone?
Well, the biggest part of our mission was to bring the Japanese pressurized module, also known as Kibo, which is a 32,000-pound cylinder of habitable living space. It's going to be, or it is, the largest module on the space station to date. We brought that up in our payload bay and docked and assembled that onto the space station. Did 3 spacewalks, which had to do with a lot of assembly tasks as well as general space station maintenance, and then we rotated crew members. That's the bulk of our mission there, and that took, what was it, about 9 dock days to get all of that work done. And that was pretty much solid work. We're all kind of tired now at this point, and just about ready to come home.
Well, listen, Ken and everyone up there, Garrett Reisman and the entire crew, this has been really a unique experience for us. Thank you for all the work you're doing. Come home safe, and we look forward to seeing you back down here on Earth. Thanks a lot for the time today, guys.
Thank you.
You bet, Greeny and Golick, and I have one question for you guys. I understand the pentathlon is 1-0 in favor of Golick, or is my news outdated?
It's an embarrassment. I beat him in horse, and I will beat him in every event there is. It's just the classic athlete against non-athlete. It's an embarrassment what's going on.
I find it unbelievable that news has gotten to outer space. Ken and everybody, best of luck out there. Take care. Come home safe.
All right, thanks, fellas.
Discovery, this is ABC News. How do you hear me?
We've got you loud and clear. How do you hear us?
I hear you loud and clear, and boy, it's tough following my colleagues from ESPN, but I'll give it a shot. Now, for Karen Nyberg, you told me before you launched you were taking up a list of photos and video you wanted to be sure to capture when you were in orbit. How'd you do on that list, and what's your favorite picture so far?
out the window. The favorite that I have so far was looking out the window of the new Japanese module. It's a great view, looking in a direction that we can't see in the other parts of the U.S. segment. And watching the sunset there was my absolute favorite, and I think we did get a couple pictures of that.
Between the robotics and setting up Kibo, it doesn't look, Karen, like you had a lot of spare time on your hands up there.
There wasn't a lot of spare time, but we have had some, and I think there was enough to take some time and gaze out the window for some time.
Now, some of my colleagues in New York were asking how you kept your hair in place. It seemed to be floating everywhere. Did it ever get caught on the Velcro on the space station?
Yeah, that is kind of a problem. It does get caught in Velcro. For the most part, I kept it back in a ponytail. I did let it free once in a while after I washed it. Just tried to keep it out of the face of my crew members.
Now, for Mike Fossum, during 114, your scout knot tying skills came in handy. What scouting skills did you use on this mission?
Well, believe it or not, we tied some knots again. We tied some tethers inside of the boxes that Ron and I took outside, and we were kind of running. We were carried so many tools and things outside, we were running out of hooks, and so found a handy knot, a clove hitch knot, to tie these tethers into the bag again.
Now, for Aki, you left behind a space station that's now 71% complete. What did you think as Discovery undocked yesterday and you saw Kibo in place?
Well, it was really amazing. I've seen the Kibo on the ground so many times, but seeing it on orbit, already assembled to the space station, and when we undocked and flew around, it was just amazing. I can't really explain it.
For Commander Mark Kelly, let's see, I'm going down the list of what I saw you do. You moved cargo, you delivered plumbing supplies, you did some electrical work, you're in charge of compacting the garbage. Now, just what is the glamorous side of your job?
I don't know if we have a real glamorous side. I mean, obviously launch is pretty exciting, and getting into space, going from 0 to 17,500 miles an hour is pretty neat. But packing the garbage is something we all have to do.
Now, Ron Guerin, you've now been out on 3 spacewalks. How would you say that's changed you?
Well, I think it's probably too soon to answer that question. I'm still, it was such an overwhelming experience that I think I'm still processing it. But, I think the big thing is just the memories that I'll hopefully keep with me, that, the views and the accomplishments that we were able to do while we were outside. And so, I think time will tell what changes that will take place because of it.
And for Garrett Reisman, returning home from the space station, what advice did you give Greg Shamatoff before the hatch closed, besides where you stashed the Snickers bars?
Well, Taz didn't need that's what his nickname, Greg Shamatoff, Taz. He was picking things up very quickly. I think he's going to do great up there. The advice I gave him was essentially about how to, maintain an even keel and relations with your crewmates and with the ground over a long period of time, and how to protect yourself, and how to schedule your own time and make sure that you remember you're up there to work, but you're also living in space, and you need to create some time for yourself to fully experience it. That was my main advice.
And for pilot Ken Ham, I'm thinking this mission lived up to your expectations?
Absolutely. The whole experience turned out to be more emotional than I would have guessed. Just the feeling of getting into zero gravity, the launch like Mark just explained, seeing space station out the window, and realizing that it's all very, very real, and we're part of it. And it's a great time to be part of this country. It's a pretty incredible feeling.
It looked to us down here on Earth that the most fun you all had was when you opened up Kibo and you were all in there doing somersaults and gymnastics. That looked like the best party on the space station yet.
Yeah, I don't think we were sure that that was coming down live or not. But apparently it did. It's a big module, and when we first opened the hatch, we didn't have a lot of the racks in there, so there was a lot of space, and it was just great to take advantage of it for a little while before we had to get back to work.
And Commander Kelly, since you have the mic, I'll make this my last question. What did the space station look like to you as you pulled away?
Well, as we pulled away, Ken, our pilot, was flying Discovery away from the space station, so I was sitting in the commander's seat, which is up front and to the left, so I didn't see anything. I'll let them comment. One thing that struck me as we were pulling away is, we've been working on the space station for a long time now, and it started out as just a single module, just a tiny little module. And now it's enormous. And what struck me as we were pulling away was that it looks like the artist rendering that we've been looking at for decades now about what space station's supposed to look like. Now, with the addition of Kibo, it looks like a real space station, and that was really exciting.
Discovery, thank you very much for your time. This is goodbye from ABC News.
Thank you very much. It was nice talking to you.
Discovery Houston, we are ready for the maneuver whenever you're ready to kick it off.
This video being sent down by cameras in the shuttle's cargo bay. You can see the movement of the shuttle's robotic arm and along the right-hand side of the screen as mission specialists Karen Nyberg and Ron Guerin maneuver it to berth the orbiter beam sensor system along the edge of the cargo bay. This shot is a sequential still video, still shots being sent down every few seconds by the cameras in the shuttle's cargo bay as the orbiter beam sensor system is being berthed. You can see the latches it'll be fitted into, and in the upper left-hand corner, the robotic arm as it maneuvers it into place. The orbiter beam sensor system is a 50-foot boom extension for the robotic arm that has a system of lasers and cameras on its end used for the late inspection and flight day 2 inspection as well of the orbiter's heat shield. Mission specialists Karen Nyberg and Ron Guerin have gotten the orbiter boom sensor system into its cradle where it'll be held in place for Saturday's landing and are preparing to latch it into place. Flight controllers in the shuttle flight control room in the Mission Control Center say that the orbiter boom sensor system is now latched into place. This is sequential still video coming down. You can see the shadows of the orbiter being cast by the sun as the shuttle moves into the sunlight part of its orbit. In that last shot from the sequential still video, you saw the robotic arm letting go of the orbiter beam sensor system now that it's been latched into place. It's now live video coming from the cameras inside the shuttle's cargo bay. You can see on the left-hand side of the screen, the robotic arm now has let go of the orbiter beam sensor system. It's berthed on the left-hand side of the shuttle, the right-hand side of the screen, and directly across from it, you can just make out the latches where the robotic arm itself will be stored during the shuttle's Saturday landing. You can see in this view from the cameras inside the shuttle's cargo bay, on the right-hand side of the screen, the base of the robotic arm, and across the top left-hand corner, the top of the robotic arm as it moves into place for its power down, being driven by mission specialist Karen Nyberg and Ron Guerin at the robotic workstation in the flight deck of the shuttle's cabin. Shuttle's robotic arm is 50 feet long compared to the 58-foot long robotic arm that the space station uses, and has 5 joints that give it 6 degrees of freedom. There's 2 joints in its shoulder, 1 joint in its, 6 joints that give it 6 degrees of freedom, 2 joints in its shoulder, 1 joint in its elbow, and 3 joints in its wrist. The wrist and elbow joints also have cameras. You can see the elbow camera sticking up above the elbow joint in the center of the arm. That's what the spacewalkers, mission specialist Mike Fossum and Ron Guerin, unstrapped during their first spacewalk of the mission. This is more a sequential still video from the shuttle of the robotic arm being berthed. You can see it's made it all the way into its latches, and the crew is getting ready to power it down now. As you can see from this view coming down from cameras in the shuttle's cargo bay, the shuttle is just coming into the daylight portion of its orbit around the Earth this time. You can also just see in the corner of the screen the robotic arm where it's now berthed and ready for the shuttle's landing on Saturday.